Hello traders, I'm going to make a very quick video, probably one of the most important videos I've made for in a while. It's what happens basically when you don't follow the process. So I have a strategy that I was looking to use, the 764, watching price go up this morning on gold, and for whatever reason, it was about 7:50 this morning, so just before London Open. I started scaling in a little bit too soon, too early, because I was looking for 1870 on this move down. We've had a nice move down, so I was anticipating a push up and then a bit of selling. So, but what I did, I overthought that a little bit because I think I got a little bit ahead of myself. And this is what happens when you don't follow the process. So I scaled in first attempt and tried to get on the move as it was pushing up. So here I identified some fibs, the range. So this is the little pullback that we've had here around 1891. The second one is clearly pronounced when it went up yesterday before we had a nice sell-off. The final push up 1907, and then where this move started, if we just squeeze the price a little bit. I've got this on a 5-minute chart, but you can pretty much see there's the highest point of this when we started to go down, and we had a retest, and you can see that this has just gone up there and it's struggling to go down. So I've marked out a couple of key levels and I've put some fibs on there, and I'm basically now, the idea is to sit patiently and allow for a retracement. Now I've marked out a little zone where I'm thinking price is going to come up to perhaps a 38.2 here, 38.2 of this range here, 764 of this last swing. So if we're going to make a lower high, I'm anticipating price going up here and then coming down. But so I'm really doing this, but I hadn't really fully marked out my chart first, so I hadn't done the analysis as clearly and as cleanly as I should have. And so what happens is this price starts going up, as seen. I'm watching it on the small time frames, like 5-minute, and as it's pulled back, as it's pushed up like that, I'm sitting there and I'm saying, okay, I'm going to start scaling in. For whatever reason, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to start scaling in. It's okay. But of course, this is gold, and you're underestimating the move by simply saying, okay, allow it to go up to about 80 area and start scaling in. So I'm thinking, I'm going to start taking some shorts here on this initial push up, ready for 8 o'clock. And then I'm thinking to myself, at 8 o'clock, what's going to happen? 8 o'clock's going to come along and it's simply just going to go down. And it thought about it for a moment, and then it stayed bullish. So I'm thinking, actually, I think perhaps I've gone in a little bit too soon on this. And then I'm watching this crawl up, and I thought, okay, this is not bad. If it goes up, then that's fine. 8 o'clock's open now. I should have waited for 8 o'clock, and I could get a better entry. Maybe get up to my zone, so maybe 82, 83, and then I'm overthinking it, thinking to myself, why am I even overthinking it? Let's just clear all these. Let's just be disciplined like I normally am. I think it was just early in the morning and I hadn't really had a coffee, maybe. So we'll leave the 6-1 on, and we'll leave the 764 on as well, 618, 764, and leave it on. And this is usually how we'd do this. So trust in the process. We're looking for a 764 strategy coupled with all the other elements of the resistance based on this current price action, highlighting those other fibs. And the fact that it did that, I'm saying, okay, let's maybe look at shorting it if we can get up to about 87. But of course, what I've done is I've gotten in here, and my stop loss originally was somewhere around 90, 91, which was okay. But because I knew straight away, pretty much, within 5 minutes of taking the trade, I thought to myself, I knew that my entry sucked. and I hadn't followed any strict rule. And so, when it comes to journaling, this is the whole purpose and the importance of having a process, having the strategies, following the rules, believing in your process, and saying, okay, this wasn't the entry. Why did you take a trade there? What was the strategy? When I ask myself and hold myself accountable, and when I pull my strategy, my journal up, and comment on what I did, when I put under strategy, what was my strategy? No strategy. I'm like, really? It's like, yeah, well, what did I do? I can make all the excuses under the sun, but I didn't follow my strategy. So of course I'm going to lose. I mean, I could have held, got in on a slight 382 retrace, so we had that little push up. but it kept going. Because I was focused so heavily on the smaller range and just thinking that I'm going to get some momentum's going to kick in with the London Open, and it's just going to come back down again after it's stretched up. We start seeing some spikes, something like this, something like this, a bit of instant selling. But of course, I'm naive if I think that's just going to happen, and is that my only real reason, justification for getting in? So, because I was actually sharing this trade and calling it in the Signal group. I felt completely accountable and thinking I know what people are like. They hang off every word I say, and so if someone has a small account, they're not going to risk 0.5%. They're not just going to dip their toe in the water like I did. I said when I called it, I'm going to be going in just with a little bit of a risk, and it's just going to be, very, 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 very slight, just to dip my toe in the water, so to speak. And but I know that people don't do that. So what's going to happen? They are going to risk everything that they have, probably their life savings or certainly their account. It can get quite bad, quite bleak, quite depressing. So looking at the signals that I'm sharing and the updates. So look here, initially I'm looking at it on my phone. I'm seeing it come up, and I think, okay, if it comes up to here, we're going to short it. And of course it did, but it kept going. So stops above 86, and again 7:50 in the morning, not really paying enough attention to what is going on. And sure, this is 86 as a stop loss. What am I doing with that? What a load of rubbish. 87 is where we have the 764. I'm thinking that's where I should be getting into short it. And so 86, I've moved the stop down to about 85, and I'm so initially looking at this 1870 target that I've sort of forsaken the whole process for a moment. I've had a mind fart, if you like. I've just basically messed up, and I know that I've messed up straight away. I'm thinking to myself, Alex, what you doing, mate? This is not how you trade. So 10-20 minutes in, I'm just sitting there, bit pissed off with myself because I know people are going to be losing money, and I've sculled in. So I'm like, look, I'm just going to adjust. I'm gonna have a go here, 84, and I'm going to move my stop to 85. And if it bounces off here and just drops, because I see that initial reaction, I think on the 5 minute, if it drops here and comes down, we might get lucky at best. But then I'm saying, 8 to 18, so it's about 20, nearly 30 minutes into the trade. I'm like, should have at least waited till London Open. Can see 84 to 87 resistance area, but I've tightened my stops now because this is not a good trade, and I'm thinking I just want to get out of it, clear my head, and start again. I can hold on to those and think, okay, it'll be fine, but I'm thinking, I owe you all an apology. I'm out of this move now. Price spiked, could fall from here. We always say that where people get stopped out is pretty much where you should be entering. And to be fair, that this was where I should have been loading up and taking the short position. So, I messed up, got a little bit in there too soon. Hadn't really looked at the entire process. If we just clear everything, so let's let's tidy this up a bit, and let's really go back to basics in terms of the 764 strategy was my main focus here to get in. So that is based on this move. So there's the 764 of this range. This also, we happen to have a nice let's clear this up a little bit. Let's move that to the left. This here also is this last move up there, and then of course we have these as well, which adds to it. So we will go like this, we'll go left again, just to get those numbers out of the way and just to show the lines, and there's the complete picture, and we're looking at this journey. So I'm thinking lower highs we'll get. I'm still thinking bearish because daily was still bearish. We haven't hit 1870, but then I'm thinking, well, 1870 is on point to go 1872, about 20 pips on this big mammoth sell-off that we've had. Am I really going to start squabbling over 20 pips? Maybe I've just overthought this a little bit. But I'm still thinking, okay, we're at least going to get, there's the initial move up, we're going to get a correction. Let's see if the correction can turn into something. If we tap the 764 and react off there cleanly, which is what we always look for, clean reactions, that will give me some confidence in the whole setup, and we can have another go at this, because I've closed my positions out for a loss, because I know that people are going to be taking this trade and leveraging up, and I'm not. I don't want them just to hold onto a losing trade and lose money. So look, let's wait a moment and see if it stalls here, then perhaps try one more time. So 824, I'm looking at price getting up there, and you know it's moving as it should do, and let's see what it does. It gets up to where it needs to get to, so there we go. So it's the push, so I'm like, right, let's get in, and I'm looking for there, really. That's the move, that's the reaction. You know, it starts to stutter, and it's tapped the 87, you know, pretty much on point. So at this point, this is where I'm getting in. I'm starting to call, I'm starting to scale in, and that's, to me, that makes sense. That's what I want to be doing. You know, that's the trade, that's the setup. This, you know, and I even say this in terms of, you know, when we start talking about it here. You know, gold short, actually call it again, one more attempt. 86, short sell 86, stop loss 90. You know, I'm seeing 85 to 86. I'm trying to get as close to 86 as possible, but things moving down. So I sort of settle for about 85 and say, well, you know, if anything above 85 is okay. But it's really difficult. You know, I should have been a little bit more reactive to the entry. But again, because I've already messed up on this, it affects you, doesn't it, emotionally? If it's just me on my own, it's bad enough. But when everyone else is looking over your shoulder, I feel accountable. I don't want you to lose your money. So, you know, one more attempt. This is where I should have just gone in. Perhaps half asleep this morning. I don't know. I feel apologetic. You know, I'm sharing my initial loss. So there's the initial trades. I got out around 85. Just thought, no nonsense. Let's just clear that. Let's start again. I could have held them, but no. You know what? Let's clear it. Let's reset. Let's get everything. Because look at my positions where I'm scaling in. It's all just a bit haphazard. There's about 1500 on this over 6 positions, and I'm like, yeah, could have held it back down to 81. It would have been absolutely fine. You know, could have closed them all out with some profit. But again, I'm like, well, you know, price is now testing a 382 and a 76.4 of the last swings, so can easily overthink these moves. I'm explaining it. I've been focusing on shorts to 1870. You know, trying to work out the process. What did I do? So we have a process, and of course we have a process, but even I can can just overthink it a little bit. And again, if it was just me sat here, I would have probably just held everything, added a few positions up here, just rode it back down, you know, down to a T1. So straight away I'm thinking, okay, if this is it, let's put the fibs onto the downside. So this is the other element that a lot of people don't even do. But you need to put that on so you know where you're targeting. So 382 is your T1. 764 strategy, nice little trade off here. 764 strategy, there's a 382 here. There's a 382 of the bigger range as well here. It's a lovely little area. I'm expecting price to react here. If it breaks in, doesn't react here, that's fine. I said I've got no issue taking a loss here, but because it's exactly where I'm supposed to be taking a loss or taking a trade, should we say. This is where I should be taking the trade, not anywhere else. And you know, that's why I closed them to clear my head. But you know, just add in a few extra positions up here because it touched the 764. So when it touched the 764, you know, it felt good. Price was stalling on a 15-minute chart as well. I'm thinking, okay, good, let's get in. Again, apologies for the initial poor entry. I'm in again though now, and I've just added and built my position a bit more. So whereas I had 6 positions prior, this time I added another handful around 85. So just making sure I've got, you know, some good risk on. The overall target is of course I'm looking at 1870, but I'm thinking let's get real here. You know, plus the fact that I have to account for it's just inevitable. You've got to account for that last poor effort. I'm thinking, well, you know what? Okay, it's a new trade, but let's just be realistic. So 1881 and a half. Usually I'd round that up to about 82 because it says 81.28. But no, I'm gonna just round it up to about 82, 81 and a half. Let's see if we can squeeze those extra pips out of it, you know, maximize it, because I have messed up. So that's me trying to compensate as best as, and also the fact that I have added positions. So I added extra. So whereas prior it was 1500, this time it's 2250 risk. So we've added another half, if you like, you know. So whereas before it's 15, I've added another 7.5. So half of what my added half extra of what I was trading prior, because I thought, well, this is it. This is a do or die moment. This is it. And I can also then move my stop down to 87 because it's tested it. It's having a go. This is pretty much where it should be. The ideal. The fact it's reacting. Yeah, this is good. I like this. I'm happy to take most of it off at T2 and maybe leave a few runners on at 1870. But let me show you again. This is what this is what I did. This is the next part of the process. So I messed up first off, and I've journalised it. Quite simple. Shit trade. Was not patient enough. Got in at 382. Should have waited for the 764 setup. Could have left it open, but I'm not gonna mess up. Getting again about 8:30. Second attempt. This time I follow a process and a strategy which set up on point. I didn't hold first time because I called this and know people over risk, and sure enough I had messages coming through to say, yeah, you know what, I've lost like 1%, 1.5%, even like 2%, and just little bits. And some people said, yeah, I made some money back on the second part. Some people said they held, but when you've got hundreds of people, you've got 400 people, and even if there is only like 50 people trading, or out of that, you're going to get mixed results, aren't you? So I'm trying to accommodate. So I'm walking you through the process in a lot of detail to help you understand how I manage it. So even when you mess up, all is not lost, because we have a process. So this is where I'm stressing the importance of the process, and I'm saying, okay, it's okay. I've got a process. I can fall back on that process. I didn't do it first off, and I should have done. So let's get back to that process. Let's go. And so then it starts to react, and we get a little push down like that, and I'm like, okay, cool. This is what I want to see. This is how I want. This is how I should have traded in the first instance. So when it did that, adjusting stop loss to 1887, and then breaking it down like I've done. I've just told you that up 1500, 2200 risk in. So I built the position. So that's actually really, really cool. So no need for revenge trading. Just added a bit. Just calm, breathe, chill. Frustration simply clouds your judgment, and that this is what can happen. That's what can happen, where you have the whole, it went down, and let's go back to the previous. Is that the previous bar? Is that where we go? Yeah, down like that. Does that work? Yeah, that works. Let me just show you. This is when it did that on the move down. That's fine. There we've hit our T1, and just to reiterate, the thing about gold, and the thing I quite enjoy about trading gold, is that when you get these setups, they are high probability, and if anything, based on the average kind of range and movement with gold, you can easily grab about 50 pips on a move. So if you do it right and you don't stress about it, you can have 50 pips out of it every time for a T1. Clearly it holds, and you hold and it hits a T2, and it does do it, but it doesn't do it all the time, so you've got to account for that. That's why we take at least half off. And the way I broke this down as well, I even explained in detail how I broke this down. So price was tested. It went up and tested that stop, and we came probably within a pip or so, maybe. So my stop's there 87. If we go and do this, I was looking at how price would react around 1886. So there's me again putting on the fibs, even on the most tiniest of ranges, because I'm examining, or I'm focused on here. What's it going to do at the 764? That's that 764 plays a pivotal role in every stage of my process pretty much. And I'm just thinking to myself, if price goes up here, we want to see it fail and then come down, and it did. Thankfully, this was a green light right here. So this is, when it did this, I'm thinking to myself, I should add, really. I should encourage people to add. But it's late on in the day, and the fact that we've already lost, I'm thinking I'm not going to add. I've added an extra bit already. I'm going to keep control of this. I've added a 0.5% extra, a half of my positions. Add another 50%. That's fine. I'm going to leave it. Doing this though, thinking you could have gone all out here, but it was fine. Just getting back down to there with entries here. That I comment and say, even with that bit of movement, it's enough for me to actually, more than enough to cover my previous loss, because I've managed my risk. So further note, explain my thinking and process. I had 9 positions open. And so I had 3 set for C1, which was 81.5. So they all hit, closed out. Because I worked out that if they all close out and then I move my stop to break even, that will cover my loss and I'll come out with a little bit of profit regardless. So that's cool. And then I went off to the gym, 9:30 starting the session, and just happened to hit just before that, which was quite nice. Stops at entry, left it alone. You know what? I didn't even bother to look, and I just left it alone until after I finished my session. And then I was just finishing up my session there, so I had a little look, and about a break-even day so far, because then you see the price does wick up. But trusting the process, getting it down to a T1, that was all cool. And just a final note, really, just to say, speaking with a couple of the traders and even a former one-to-one trader, a reminder to trust the process. And I won't always execute it perfectly, clearly. So you do need to understand the process in order to believe and adopt it. So that includes the strategy. Understand there was a 764 there, great. I lost before, why? Because I didn't follow my rules, I didn't stick to a strategy. I deserve to get spanked. It's just, that's what happens. But I guess that's why the importance of making this video, showing you the do's and the don'ts and what happens when you don't follow the process. And I was out on a limb, didn't follow my process. And what am I doing? I'm going to lose, of course, because unless I get lucky, and that's the worst thing that can happen to you, getting lucky, that just reinforces some fake news, some false beliefs that you're invincible and what you're doing is the right thing, and then you lose and you come unstuck because it's reckless. So, I am a confidence at times at best, but it doesn't mean that you should pile in recklessly with no regard to your risk. So, I'm stating all the way along, I'm showing you transparency. I'm saying, look, this is how much I'm putting on. It's a fraction of what I would normally be trading. Second time around, I'm having a go, and I'm adding the risk to it, but it's all measured and calculated because it's reacting where it's supposed to. It's doing what it's supposed to do, because we know that it's going to react here, because this is the strategy and this is it giving us precision. And you take solace in knowing, okay, cool, precision trading, that's what it's all about. Get in, job done. Whereas you don't get in here and you just allow, taking some haphazard entries here, you deserve to lose. As it stands, it all dropped down nicely to 80, and all my entries would have been filled in profit or close break even. But it's not the point. So remember, I'm not trading your accounts. You do have to do some of the legwork yourself. Realistically, you have to appreciate price doesn't always just go to the 764, because people are holding, thinking, revenge trading. I've lost too much here, so I want to try and I want it to come down to here because then we can make all our money back and make some good profit. I'm like, well, Rome was not built in a day. If you take a loss and you over leverage and you lose 3, 4, 5%, you deserve it. It's tough. You shouldn't have risked so much. Why are you doing it so aggressively? That's not my fault, and I will always be held accountable to some degree by some. They want to just vex and vent their frustration, and they want to blame it on me, and that's understandable, and that's the pressures that you take with providing analysis and trades and etc. and sharing your content. It's is what it is, but the process is quite simple. So always remind yourself, don't overthink it, nothing else matters. Hold me accountable by actually saying to me, look, why are we in this trade at 81? What's your strategy? Hold me accountable. If it doesn't make sense to you, it's not that you're not good enough. You might understand that actually, yeah, he's not doing something that's right here. So question everything. If it's not right, tell me. Hold me accountable. And it could just be that I've actually made a mistake, because I am only human after all. Who knew, eh? I'm not Mr. Market today. Today I'm being my human self. But it's okay. Drastic crisis averted. Some money made. I'm not going to call in more trades today. So no more personal trades from me today. I had a go and it was all a little bit weird, and I don't know why I did that. So I need to just take a break. There's no revenge trading. I'm certainly not going to try and chase anything. But what I did say is, if you happen to find a setup today, let me know. I'll look to qualify it with you. We can go over it. And then if it's good, I'll even take the trade alongside you. So I'll do that. So by all means, send me your trades, because then we trade together. That'll be cool. But as for what I did there, it was all a little bit, didn't stick to the process and deserve to lose. So yeah, there you go. Hopefully you find this whole video entertaining, at least not too boring. Again, I can keep a journal. Because why can I keep a journal? Because it's easy. You know, I'm not taking millions of trades. I'm not over trading. I'm just trusting my process. You know, one trade a day or a couple of trades during that session. So this accounts for pretty much one session, one trade. You know, I took 2 trades on it, which shouldn't have done. Just one good trade would have been absolutely fine. I could have done without that one, and we would have been absolutely laughing, and it would have been fantastic. You know, could have made a couple of percent job done. But there you go. So this is why we have this process, and doing this admin, this very little bit of admin, like the journal, however you want to journalize it. This is the significance and the importance of it. So 6 trades done this week. I don't think there's any more trades from me this week, unless you guys share some, then I'll take them alongside you. But half a dozen trades, you know, 4 wins, two stopped. Yeah, that's fine, no problem. It's fine. It's what's that? Maybe 70% or something. It's whatever. But yeah, hopefully, as I say, you found this video very educational, to say the least. If you want to get involved and follow what I'm doing, then please let me know. But yeah, hopefully by providing transparency in how we do it and what we think, and you know, when we make a mistake, why we made the mistake, I can easily pinpoint exactly why I made the mistake, and I can rectify that. And so that's why then I went in again, and I wasn't phased, and I thought, well, have another go, and we made it back, and it was all good, happy days. So, and then it's gone back up, and it's hit my stop now, but we've already moved the stop to break even, so that's what happened. And just let this play out, and you know, it was plenty of profit on the table there, and stops done, and then gone back up and pretty much hit my stops at break even. But we'd already made our profit, and we were slightly in profit for the day as a result, because we did get back involved and controlled what we were doing and following a process, and we didn't mess about this time. But you see what happens when we don't. So thanks very much for watching and for your time.